Hello and welcome to season 3, episode 11 of Quaint and Cozy KC. I am your host, Lainey Renee, and today it's all about my trip to Vermont, my June 2025 Vermont trip that I took as I record this just a couple of weeks ago. It's hard to believe it's been a couple of weeks since I got back from Vermont, but oh my gosh, what a magical time it was. I'm just going to do some recaps because, the next episode is going to be all about, Kansas City and the surrounding areas again. But I wanted to kind of take this moment to highlight Vermont. And again, I was thinking about doing this episode and I'm like, oh, I'll just talk about Kansas City and I'll throw in Vermont. I'm like, no, Vermont needs its own episode. Okay. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. So I have been trying to go to Vermont since 2011. And every time I try to go, there was a weather event, there was some kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, I just kind of let it go. Then earlier this year, I got a chance. I'm like, you know what? Let me just try to go to Vermont for like maybe 4 or 5 days. And so I get there, and of course, it did rain, and it rained a lot. And I got rained on like several times, and it was almost like the weather would say, "Oh yeah, it's not going to rain till 5," and I'd be out there at 3:30, and it would just start downpouring all over me. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm bringing the rain. What can I do? So I started off this trip. It was a crazy trip because we had tornado warnings in Kansas City. And I don't live super far from the airport, so we had tornado warnings. And my flight was supposed to leave at like 5 or 6 in the morning. I think they moved it to 6 a.m. And so to LaGuardia. And so I was like, okay, well, let's see here. What's the best way for me to do this? Because it was supposed to rain like throughout the night. So I thought what I don't want to happen is that when it's time for me to kind of go and check in to, the flight, it's going to be so bad that I can't get an Uber to pick me up, right? Okay, so I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I ended up having an Uber pick me up around 7:30, and so I just literally spent the night in the airport, but it was a lot of fun. I did a lot of, I was on TikTok and everything like that. I was uploading photos. I was just kind of like cleaning photos out of my phone. I got a lot done, and that was really funny because sometimes when you have those quiet moments, you do get a lot done. I think I slept for maybe like 2 hours, and I started waking up around 4 o'clock when everyone started coming in for that flight. So, and again, I wasn't too tired. I was surprised. I was able to kind of sleep on the plane as well because I flew into LaGuardia, my first time ever in that airport. And then, because usually I go into Newark, but this time they put me in LaGuardia, which I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then from LaGuardia, we flew into Burlington, Vermont. Okay, some things that surprised me when I flew in is like I didn't realize how small that airport was, and that's no shade or anything because I live in Kansas City and we just expanded our airport like what a couple of years or two ago. So, um, so I was like it reminded me of the old Kansas City airport. It's just kind of like a cute little thing, and I kind of liked the vibe. It was very kind of nature, very granola, so I did like it. They had a great section for kids to play. I mean, I really love the vibe of that airport. So I had to wait for my Uber and it was actually unseasonably hot. Usually in like the Northeast, like it's not that hot. It doesn't hit 90s until like July. Usually early June, you kind of need like a little bit of a jacket. It's more like 70s, 60s. Oh no, it was like 90. I was sweating, y'all. And so, because I had my little warm-up suit on or whatever. And so, the Uber driver came, picked me up. It was really nice and everything like that. And I was able to because I got in just probably like a little after, I think a little after 2:30, but it took me a while to get an Uber. Like it was a full house. And I was surprised because, I flew in on a weekday, like I flew in on a Wednesday. But anyway, so I get there, I get to the hotel, get everything checked in, and I'm staying at like a Holiday Inn Express in South Burlington. And it's right across from this beautiful Italian kind of like restaurant. And it was one of those things, it was in a house, like it was really north. To me, I always think about all the restaurants in the Northeast that are like in houses. So it was really cute and it was like across the way. And so I ate there. But again, I've got a food podcast, Aunt Lena's Kitchen. I will highlight, my whole thing with the meal. But I loved how where the Holiday Inn Express was in South Burlington, just very lush, a lot of greenery. I got a lot of good pictures of flowers. You know how I feel about, my flower boxes and, just doing those photo strolls just with the flowers. So I got a lot of great pictures of lush greenery. So that night, the only thing I did on Wednesday night is I walked over, went, took a shower, walked over, went to dinner and everything. And then I came back and then, I was working, kind of working from home and everything like that. I was able to work. And so that was good. And so I like fortunately the way like the tours and everything like that, I had enough time to like go and explore like downtown Burlington because I was on California time. I work off a California time. So I was 3 hours ahead. So I was able to kind of like right before I started work, I was able to go and check out downtown Burlington. And so I went to the church market street like that, the marketplace there. And it was kind of, it's kind of bustling, it's kind of busy. It's like, I think it's called the Church Street Marketplace. I just want to make sure I get that right because people listening from Vermont be like, girl, come on, say it right. So I started my exploration there. I had the Uber driver come pick me up, drop me off there. And it's a really vibrant and walkable neighborhood. And they have like retail shops, restaurants, artistic spaces there, kind of like I want to say kind of office buildings as well. Just I loved a very eclectic kind of vibe. And the architecture is gorgeous, as you knew it would be, because it's the Northeast in a downtown area. It's just really pretty. It's kind of like colonial meets modern with just a little dash of kind of elegant urban edginess. And I think from in my view, right? Now I might have a different view if I were still in college and everything, but I think if you're a tourist and you're of a certain age, maybe, this is a great district for a daytime date, a solo adventure, or an outing with family and friends. And it is within hiking distance of the University of Vermont-Burlington campus and the Waterfront Park. And I'll talk about those a little bit later. Parking, it looked to be a considerable challenge. That's why, I did not rent a car in Vermont. I wanted to because there's all these cities I wanted to hit, but I realized, hey, I'm going to be working. This is kind of like a working vacation thing, so I'm not going to have time to like run out and hit all these other little towns. So I kind of was like, you know what? Since I'm working, I'm going to go ahead and like, get like 3, 4 spots and then that's it. But when I go back again, I think what I'll do is I will stay in a different part of Vermont and kind of explore it. From there as well. And I might rent a car. I might end up renting a car. It's just that I did not want to be responsible for trying to park a car in downtown Burlington or Montpelier, where I ended up going as well. Something a smaller town, I might not have such an issue doing that. So I would definitely recommend carpooling or taking a ride share to the Church Street Marketplace. That is what I would do just to kind of avoid the hassle. Um, so let's see here. So as after that, so again, you got to keep in mind, I'm still in kind of the downtown Burlington, Vermont area. So I'm like, okay, well, what else can I see? Because when you're doing the Google search, like what can I see here? What can I see there? It doesn't like it gives you ranges where things are, but you're still kind of like not, you don't get the full on view of it. So now the University of Vermont at Burlington, and again, if you want to follow these adventures, I also am blogging about. I've got these blogs scheduled to come out over the next couple of weeks. But Waterfront Park is actually like the kind of the last destination. It goes all the way down, right? And so on the way, there is the University of Vermont's campus. So I went on part of the campus. I went where the Performing Arts Center was. And they had a sculpture, kind of a cool, like little sculpture garden. There are beautiful steps, and then they had beautiful, like it's just a beautiful garden path. Like all of it, it just smelled fragrant over there. They had cute little restaurants and everything on the campus, and I kind of strolled around um, the campus as well. It just had a nice, and I'm going to post some of those pictures because I posted them a lot of them on my personal page, and I am going to post some select on my Quaint and Cozy KC. I did load them all up on my TikTok, and I think I might have made an Instagram reel from that. But so again, they're on my Quaint and Cozy KC TikTok. I did that there because I had so many pictures. Um, and so, it's just really nice. You're going to see lots of pictures if you go and look at the reels on Instagram or go to TikTok and just kind of scroll through the pictures there. So on the way there, that was the University of Vermont, and then I hit up on Waterfront Park. And oh my gosh, I had not planned on going. Like I looked at it and I was like, oh, am I going to have time? And then it turned out that I did have time because I've been working out, like really working out, not just doing that, like just trying to make a workout, but like working out every day, low impact, like walking and doing the stepper, all the stuff. So I actually was like, oh man, I'm not tired at all. And the weather seemed to cooperate. It was just, I mean, it was a little bit on the rainy side, but it wasn't like a downpour and it wasn't super hot. It didn't get so hot. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to still push. I'm going to push through this. I got time. So I went down there and it's beautiful. There's a lot of picturesque boat scenery. And as someone who's lived in Newport, Rhode Island, I totally appreciate a good kind of boat scenery. And there would seem to be like a boat cruise, but I did not have enough time to sign up for that. But I was able to kind of stroll the pier, and I did take the pictures of the photos of, sorry, flowers and water, and of course the boats. And then I walked, there's like a paved walking trail, and I came upon the Union Station where like the train is, and it's beautiful. So it's got like, it's the interior is like, it's got where business, kind of like business like. It looks like a station, but it's also very artistic. There is an art gallery. The Doug Knapp Gallery is located on the first floor of the Union Station, and and then also there is the Echo Leahy Center for Lake Champlain, and that's a beautiful, look like a great museum. I just didn't have enough time to kind of walk through and all that stuff, but it is located there. This is definitely the kind of place where if you just say, "Hey, drop me off in this area," and you can really, it really is good for like a daytime, or I would even say like on the earlier evening if you want to go down there at like 4 or something like that, and do that. So I think I really liked it, and I wish I would have had a little bit more time in downtown Burlington. And then I also went to City Hall. There was a lot of construction when I was there, so there were some challenges there. So it kind of made me glad I didn't drive. But I just took tons and tons of pictures, which you can find on my Quaint and Cozy KC TikTok. Okay, so now where are we going? My next stop was Shelburne Farms, and that's in Shelburne, Vermont, which is kind of like past South Burlington. Now, this place is very eclectic. And of course, this day the skies opened up. I mean, it was raining so hard like that day. So I didn't explore as much as I wanted to, but I did go on the cheese making tour. I booked that tour. And it's just a little tip, when you're going to these places, you're actually leaving, your house, getting on a plane or in your car, whatever. Book ahead if you can. I mean, it's great to be like, oh, I just want to see what happens and what we can find. But I feel like if you book ahead, then you are going, because you always think, oh, no one's going to be there like on a Friday or a Thursday. But yes, people are going to be there on a Thursday or a Friday. So, you want to book ahead so you don't have any drama. So this Shelburne Farms, it had like a farm store, and it had, gifts like products, like food products and some like kind of kitchen products, like that kind of thing. Lots of cheese. Oh my gosh. And wine. And then they also have hiking trails. And I toured the cheese making facilities. And then they have like a dine-in farm to table thing as well, like a place you can do that. Um, and as I said, the cheese making tour, I got rained on, but they had like this cute little wagon. It was like this like, I don't want to call it a wagon, but it was kind of like, if those hay rack ride things, but it was covered. It was kind of like an open air bus thing. And the tour guide was so knowledgeable. The driver and the tour guide were very knowledgeable about the farm, and they told us historical anecdotes about the place, and I really appreciate that because that kind of gives you, I feel like it gets you a little bit closer to it. And then of course you want to like go and do if you're a total nerd like me, you want to go and research it further. And even though the heavy rain was not my favorite because I was soaked, I would say that it kind of added this extra lushness to the greenery. And there's parts of the farm that kind of bump up against Lake Champlain, so you can kind of see across the lake to New York. But it was super foggy, so we couldn't see it. But still, I mean, it was just a beautiful kind of thing. And the tour took about 2 hours. Definitely worth it. And we got to go to the cheese making facility. We went and saw the dairy cows. We went and looked at different. There was also sheep and cows that we got to kind of pass by. I think that it would have been a little bit more if the weather had cooperated. But we just kind of got to kind of like explore everything. We got to try some cheeses. I think we sampled like 5 or 6 cheese. I felt like it was 5 or 6 cheeses, but they were all really good. And then, on your way out, you go to the farm, and I ended up buying like a chocolate bar because I was kind of cheesed out, and then like some potato chips or something like that, and just like some snacky stuff. And then, I kind of went back to my hotel and everything, and it was a lot of fun. And I had to prepare because what I did was is I booked like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in South Burlington. And then Saturday, I only did one day there because just of the transportation. I did Saturday to Sunday in Montpelier, Vermont. Oh my goodness, what a super quaint and cozy town. And it's kind of nestled in the mountains and there's hills. And it kind of reminded me of like a mountainous Newport, Rhode Island, in the sense of just how picturesque everything was. Everything, all the brick going on, the cute little avenues and all that. It's got the gorgeous architecture too, the breathtaking scenery, and it really had a welcoming small town vibe. So my journey started because I hadn't been on a Greyhound bus in a very long time. So I was like, okay, Greyhound bus, okay. So I took that because I didn't want to try to Uber all the way there because I felt like that was going to cost a lot of money. So I went ahead and I was like, okay, I will like look and see what, the shuttles, whatever. So Greyhound bus it was like under, I think it was like $22, something like that, each way. And so I ended up on there, and the bus was clean, and there was a place to plug in to keep your phone charged, your devices charged, and it was just kind of nice. And so that bus dropped me off. I think I got picked up around I think 11 something, 11:25, and I got dropped off. I think it was close to maybe 1 o'clock, 12:45, 1 o'clock. And so I was like, okay. And then I had all my stuff with me. And so the first thing I did was I got a recommendation. I was kind of walking with my stuff, and this really nice couple stopped me and was like, oh, hey, do you need any directions? Like, whatever, just really nice. And so they gave me some recommendations. They're like, oh, hey, everything pretty much is good in town, but try the Filibuster restaurant. And so I did it because it was just, maybe like half a block away and or so. And so I went there, I ate lunch, I just rested my bones. And then I explored the Vermont Historical Society Museum because that was on my list to do. So I was like, well, and the museum's closed at 4. And I was and it was about, I would say it was about maybe 2 when I got finished eating and everything like that. It was probably like 2:15, 2:20. So I'm like, you know what? And go to the, um, let's go ahead and go to the museum. So I went to the museum and what I really appreciated about this museum is that it was really informative. There's a lot of stuff I know about Vermont because I'm a history nerd, but there's a lot of stuff I didn't realize about Vermont. And so the exhibits were very easy to kind of access as far as like, they weren't in those tiny little fonts so you could read it. As I get older, I'm like, can I get like a bigger font? Can I read that in a bigger font? But everything was pretty clear and they had really nice like exhibits and artifacts and all that. And so it's in downtown Montpelier. And I would say when I first looked at it, the exterior looks like a bed and breakfast, and it has like a huge kind of like wraparound porch, and it had a row of cozy white rocking chairs. And I saw people just kind of sitting in the rocking chairs. I'm like, right on. And I stepped inside, and so the interior has got that classic architecture with modern touches. And they put the exhibits in chronological order and it depicting Vermont's history from the indigenous tribes and early colonialism to more current events. So it took me about an hour to get through the entire museum. And I really like they had a lot of elegant lighting. Sometimes in museums, it's either super, super institutionally bright or it's so dim that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to knock anything over, but I really can't see because it's too dim in here. They had a nice balance of the elegant lighting and just how they, used lighting for the exhibits. And so this is another place that would be great for a daytime date because again, it closes at 4, a solo adventure like I went on, or an outing with family and friends. And it's funny, like every time I mention this, I feel like such a nerd, but then someone did tell me, hey, I appreciate, you kind of like spelling out these things before I go there. Now, I probably would have taken me a little bit longer had I not had my suitcase. And they did offer to let me keep them at the front desk, but I was like, no, that's okay. Cause I might like roll off and forget them, one of them. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna roll with me. And I had a small enough like carry-on bag. It was fine. And then I went to my hotel. I walked to my hotel, the inn at Montpelier. And on the way, I was like, well, should I take pictures? I'm like, no, I think what I'll do is I'll wait. I'll go, to the hotel and everything like that. I will, change clothes and everything and, go back out there and explore that way. So that's what I did. I took, I mean, and again, they were like, oh, it's going to storm at like, I think they said it was going to storm at 5:30. So I'm like, oh, I won't have a problem because it's like, 4 o'clock. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna, hustle through. Y'all, it started raining like within 20 minutes of me getting outside. I was like, why? Why is this my life? And so again, it was raining, but I had my hair back. It was fine. It wasn't because I have longer hair. And so it wasn't like I couldn't see or anything like that. I had it back in a scrunchie. So I just pressed on and took as many pictures as I could because it's beautiful. And in the end of Montpelier, a really nice bed and breakfast. It's super quaint, and it's the kind of bed and breakfast that to me, because I like modern, and they had Wi-Fi and everything like that. Like I like modern touches. I like all that stuff. So for me, this is the kind of place where you would do like a 3-day weekend. You come in on like a Friday and stay and like leave on Monday. It's that kind of like cute little vibe. We're coming on a Thursday and leave on a Sunday, just something like that. It was beautiful, beautiful porch, just beautiful views and all the lush greenery in the neighborhood. Oh my goodness. So then the next day on Sunday, um, what I ended up doing is I went down, they had a great continental breakfast. And again, all the hotels I stayed at they really did a good job with breakfast. Like 5 years ago, I should say, I mean that was the pandemic, but like 7 years ago, breakfast was like a bagel and like a power bar. Like you got stuff like that. It was not, maybe you got a waffle if you're lucky, maybe you got some cold egg. These people now, they are bringing their best game to breakfast. They had like these little mini quiches. It was really good. And so then because I had looked at my ticket wrong and I thought that I was leaving out of 11:25 and I'm like, wait, that can't be. I look at it again. I had to rebook my ticket because the ticket to leave Montpelier didn't I think it left at like 5:20. And of course, that makes sense because they want you to stay there as long as you can because, get the business, whatever. But things around there start closing down at 3, 4 o'clock. Now, I went to Langdon. I think it's called the Langdon Street Tavern, which again I'll review on Aunt Lanie's Kitchen in the next week or so, possibly 2 weeks. But so that stayed open till midnight. So I was there. I hung out there. I went and I was like, hey, I'm gonna eat here, but my train, not train, I'm sorry, my bus does not leave until 5:20. They're like, oh no, that's fine. So I stayed there for a few hours and then I left at like I think I started walking over there at 4:15. And then my bus ended up being like 30 minutes late, which again was fine. It was still daylight at the time. There was like a huge crowd kind of sitting there waiting for the bus and everything like that. And so I got back to Burlington down like in the downtown Burlington area. Now one thing I am sad about is I didn't get to go to any of the farmers markets because I didn't make it there in time for the Montpelier farmers market. Like I got there too late, and then the Burlington one I didn't have enough time. There was no way I was gonna make it. Which again, now, that's fine. I go to farmers markets all the time and whatever. And maybe like that's another incentive. Next time I go, I'll either stay like in that area where I can walk to the farmers market, or what I'll do is I will rent a car and stay maybe in Montpelier and in the smaller areas because it'll be easier, for the parking of said car. And so then I ended up going back. And so the last hotel I stayed in, because I stayed by the airport Sunday to Monday. I left on Monday. And so like at noon or something like that. So I mean, I really kind of liked how I did it. I like that I spent time. Usually what I do is I spend like 3.5 days and I'm running around and I might even go to jump states and do whatever. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have more of a relaxed time there. Now, I will say something I did do is that I went to the co-op, and again, this is not my food show, but I'll tell you, I went to the co-op because I'm like, okay, I don't want to eat out every day just because I don't want to have to DoorDash, and there's like, I'd have to Uber places or something like that. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go. When I was walking downtown, I went to the co-op and that they had there, and I ended up buying like maybe 4 days worth of meals, 3, 4 days worth of meals and everything like that. And it was only like 25 dollars just to get their prepared meals and some other things. I was like, oh my gosh. So that's kind of what I did like on so from Thursday, Friday, that's what I kind of subsisted off of was the and early Saturday too. Like I had some snacks going on. And so yeah, I mean, and then, my trip wasn't too delayed. It didn't get too delayed, which is good. Sometimes you end up like, you end up getting to that second place because I generally do um layovers and stuff like that. I don't mind doing layovers at this age and stage. But like I didn't, there was no delays. I was like, oh my gosh. So it was good. And I ended up at Washington Reagan Airport, which I hadn't been there in a long time. So I went back there for the first time in a long time. And so yeah, I mean, it was a good flight in and out of Kansas City. I didn't have to wait too long for the Uber. So I would definitely say it was a successful trip from that standpoint. And then when I got back, one of the things is that I realized I'm like, it just reinforced everything that I've been saying for the past couple of years with this blog and this podcast and this lifestyle, this quaint and cozy KC lifestyle. It's really what's in front of you. I love Vermont. Oh my gosh, I love Vermont so much. I had such a good vibe there, but I noticed, we've got a lot of great things here. Where I'm living in this part of the country too. We've got lush trees. Now we don't got the mountains, okay? I'm not gonna lie. We don't have the ocean. We don't have, we have lakes though. But just it really made me appreciate everything I have here just that much more. I really did. I'm like, oh my gosh, like because I was already starting to appreciate it, but really appreciate it, and I love it. And the museums, like all the things. It was great to kind of like not just do the touristy stuff there, but to really kind of look and do some of the smaller, quieter activities. And so it's just, again, a lot of fun. I think I think next time I'm going to stay probably closer to a week and I will definitely rent a car. But I think what I'll do is I'll just stay, in smaller kind of areas and just maybe do like one night in Burlington when I first come in. And then, maybe that other night, when I'm leaving, because it's just easier to kind of get to the airport, like if you're already in town or something like that. And then in between, I'm going to be in like the smaller towns and all that. So, anyways, thank you so much. I've got so much exciting stuff that I've been doing like since I got back from Vermont. And I actually went to two museums, like two back-to-back museums this weekend. And I went to a new farmers market. And I'm going to be going to Smithville Lake soon. And like there's a couple other places that I went and I'm going to start writing about those and I'll start podcasting about those and definitely will start posting about those. But I wanted to make sure before I did all of that that I got this Vermont show on the air. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for all your support. You can find me, QuaintandCozyKC.com, Quaint and Cozy KC Facebook, Quaint and Cozy KC Instagram on that tickety tockety, Quaint and Cozy, Quaint and Cozy KC as well. So yes, please. Thanks again for all your feedback. People are telling me that I'm inspiring them to kind of look around and appreciate where they live. And I love that. Take care, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.